Have you ever wondered if there's like a source code running our entire universe? A set of fundamental rules that govern absolutely everything? Well, today we're diving into a system of thought that basically claims to be just that, a user's guide to the cosmos. Let's get into it. So, let's start with the biggest question of all, right? Is our reality just some random, chaotic accident, or is it actually built on some kind of hidden blueprint? The framework we're exploring today says, yeah, it's the blueprint, a cosmos that's structured, intentional, and based on some very specific laws. Now, to really get a handle on these laws, we can't just jump into the middle of the story. No, we've got to go all the way back to the very beginning, the origin point of existence itself. At the very heart of this entire system is a concept called the source. And you have to understand, it's not a place you can go visit. It's a foundational, all-encompassing consciousness. It is the ultimate origin point from which everything, and I mean everything, comes into being. This quote really just nails the core idea. It suggests that our universe isn't some chaotic mess, but that it existed first as an image held within a vast consciousness before it ever became physical reality. Kind of mind-blowing, right? Okay, so if everything comes from this one source, how does that even work? Well, this system proposes a fundamental rhythm, a kind of cosmic cycle that feels a lot like breathing. A constant outward breath of energy moving away from the source and an inward pull bringing it all back home. Now, this whole cycle is governed by two main laws. On one side, you've got the outward push, which is called the law of gravity or radiation. This is the force that sends everything radiating out from the source. And on the other side, you have the inward pull, the law of circulation. This one acts like a cosmic safety net, making sure that all that energy that went out has to, eventually, find its way back. We can actually break this huge cycle down into four pretty clear steps. First, you have emanation. That's the energy flowing out from the source. Second is existence. That energy starts to cool down and form into matter and consciousness, stuff. Third, attraction. That built-in homing beacon starts to pull everything back. And finally, return. The energy finishes its grand tour and rejoins the origin. All right, so the cycle makes sense, but wait a minute, that brings up a new question. If everything comes from one single unified source, how do we end up with the billions and billions of different things we see all around us? Let's take a look at how the one becomes the many. The answer, according to the system, is something called the law of concentration and separation. This is the rule that explains how that pure, simple unity fractures into all the incredible diversity we see. So the key idea here is to think of reality as being made of different levels or dimensions. At the highest levels, the ones closest to the source, there's incredible unity. But as energy moves down to the lower levels, that unity starts to divide and split into more and more diverse forms. Think of it like one big tree trunk that branches out into thousands and thousands of individual leaves. And this whole diversification thing, it isn't random. It's guided by another rule, the law of form. This law basically says that every little spark of consciousness gets the exact physical or energetic shape it needs to do its job in the universe. In other words, even on a cosmic scale, form follows function. The source material gives a really cool example of this. It suggests that human forms actually contain these special structures called monads. And you can kind of think of these as a piece of spiritual hardware, like a built-in antenna that's designed to keep us connected to our spiritual origin. So we've talked about the how, the cosmic cycle, the laws of diversity, but all of that just leads to the biggest question there is, right? Why? What is the whole point of this massive, epic journey away from the source, only to return to it?
The purpose is all wrapped up in the law of development. See, in this view, the universe isn't just a static display case, not at all. It's a dynamic training ground. These little sparks from the source plunge down into matter so they can evolve, have experiences, and ultimately achieve self-awareness.
But let's be real. You can't evolve in a vacuum. Evolution absolutely requires interaction, making choices, bumping up against other people and things. And every single interaction, every choice, well, it has a consequence. And this brings us to the law of interaction, which you probably know by another name, karma. Now, in this system, karma isn't about some cosmic judge giving out rewards or punishments. It's framed more like a fundamental law of physics, just like gravity. It's the universe's perfect, impartial accounting system that just links every cause to its effect.
period.
Okay, we have covered a lot of ground here, a lot of different laws. So how do they all fit together? Well, the source material uses this really powerful and beautiful metaphor to tie everything into one cohesive picture.
So, just for a moment, let's just picture this. Imagine the source, that infinite consciousness where we started, as a vast, calm, endless ocean, the origin of everything. Now, that law of gravity, the outward push, that's like the sun's heat. It gently lifts water from the ocean, turning it into mist that rises up and begins its journey away from the hole. That right there is the emanation.
And the law of circulation, that inevitable inward pull, well, that's the falling rain. It's the rivers that always flow downhill. It's the absolute guarantee that every single drop that leaves eventually finds its way back to the ocean. So then, the law of form is what happens during the journey. That water doesn't just stay mist. It takes on countless different shapes, right? It could become a massive glacier, a rushing river, a quiet pond, or even a single drop of dew on a leaf. Each form is unique, it's temporary, and it's perfect for its part of the cycle. And here's the most beautiful part of the metaphor. No matter what temporary shape it takes, ice, steam, or river, it is always, fundamentally, water. And it is always driven by its very nature to return to the ocean from which it came. Which really just leaves us with one final thought to ponder. If this cosmic blueprint is real, and everything, everywhere, is on this epic journey back to its origin, what does your journey home look like?